Hello guys. I just said hello. Hello guys, I'm the Professor Chief and welcome to what really amounts to nothing more than a vlog. And I don't know how well the camera is picking up because there's no boom mic. I'm just using the external. And fix that, it's annoying me. But this video is pretty much going to be all about, what I've been doing for the past few weeks is I've been trying to make a costume because there's a convention coming up in Orlando called MegaCon, and typically every year that's the convention I go to, and I go there mainly because it was my first con. It was the first con I've ever been to, unless you count Zombie. Actually, no, I haven't been to ZombieCon. ZombieCon wasn't my first con. That was pretty much after that. And it was there that, even though it was my first con, I didn't wear a costume. I pretty much grabbed a whole bunch of crap and I nerded out like you would typically do if you're there. And I just wore makeshift. Now, the next year, I actually got my first taste of actually wearing a costume, and I wore a friend's Star Wars costume because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And I wore an Anakin Skywalker costume, and I got a lightsaber from Ultra Sabers. I got a double-bladed red lightsaber, and I wore that to the convention, and that was my first real, big, leap into that kind of thing of doing, just dress up cosplay. I mean, I don't avidly do cosplay. This is probably the most, cosplay things I've done, and behind me, it's pretty much discussion over here. Will come in a minute. So, following years, I got a Darth Maul costume, and that pretty much became my Sith costume. I'd pretty much wear it everywhere, with few additions. I mean, I didn't start doing armor making until a few years after, probably a year later after having my, it was probably more than that. But I did armor making for 1 year, and I used Warbler and craft foam, which I actually have back here. These were my first ones, and as you can see, if I point that camera right there, you see, these weren't they don't fit too well. They fit fine, but they pretty much slid everywhere, and they don't come on and off that easy. And so, a few weeks ago, I was pretty much working all, I would work all nights because I don't work during the day, but, nowadays I don't, have to worry about it, so I typically work at night. It's my typical, because everyone goes to bed, so there's nobody to bother me, because I don't like to be bothered while working. And so, probably a week ago, I had bought off of TNT Cosplay just 6mm EVA foam, whereas I call it Ava foam because I see EVA and I automatically think Ava, so that's what I call it. And I went and, I decided to test it out, and my result was something a little bit more better because I have all my trials that I've done to get it right. And I do mean I've done a lot of gauntlets. I have more in the other room that I've done, just, failing, miserably. And I plan probably to do a little bit better job with the gauntlets, because you can see there's a design on it, but it's not a file, it's me drawing on it. So, what brings us to today's is, I'm actually going to do a video on this one later, because you can tell, you have two, because, funny enough, my right arm, which is this arm, is slightly bigger than so I have to have a different measurement for my light, and I'm getting my shirt that I'm supposed to wear so I can properly measure it, because if I have to go a little bit thicker, a little bigger with the gauntlets, I will, but because I wanted to get used to the material I cut, and I actually find cutting this thinner stuff's a hell of a lot easier than cutting the thicker stuff, which is like this stuff. This is floor mats. This is made out of floor mats, and this helmet, this was the first helmet I made, and what I'm looking for is, as a Star Wars fan, I'm a fan of, I like Sith, I like Jedi. My first costume was pretty much a Sith costume, and I used to wear masks and stuff with it because, as you can see, I don't have a very interesting face, and I'd rather have something that sticks out. So I used to wear a mask, which my mask is actually in the other room, which I think I will go grab. Just give me a minute. Also, if you can't tell from the screen, I'm a pretty big guy. And my mask, which is this one right here, is one that I pretty much wore. This was my Sith mask after a while. I went and bought this one. I believe I got this one off of eBay. And I don't know where the design comes from, but it was my Sith mask. I would wear it as my Sith mask. And so, because I based my character off of being a Mandalorian, so I wanted something that had, this sort of shape on it. And I didn't want something totally Sith, but it worked for me for what it was. And after a while, especially now that I want to test my metal with, making something, I decided